Okay, so this is what we're going to be making today. I haven't put my hanger on yet because this guy's still a little damp. So the supplies that we're going to need, everything that you see here, we've got our little wooden star. I found this at the Dollar Tree. I think it was last year or the year before. You know, crafters like to buy things and think, oh, I can do something with that. Well, I finally figured out what I'm going to do. So we have that. We've got white paint. This is Camden Yellow, True Blue, and Cardinal Red. We've got a sanding block or some kind of sanding paper. I'm using painter's tape to tape my design down to this little self-healing mat. It just makes it easier to put everything together. I've got blue vinyl, yellow, tan, black, red, and white. Some parchment paper, your weeding tools. And I have a little container of baby wipes, some gloves, and a brayer, and I think that's pretty much it, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what I have here is the star that I got from the Dollar Tree. And what I did was I went ahead and I laid this on my chair and I took a picture of it, and then with my phone I removed the background and then I emailed it to myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in to Design Space. Okay, hit Complex, Continue. And then I'm going to remove the background just by clicking on this back here. And I'm going to erase this part right here, which isn't really necessary. You don't really have to do it if you don't have the option to do that. Apply and continue. Click on this one, upload. And then I've already uploaded my SVG, so I'm going to click on both of these and I'm going to add it to Canvas. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, with my star, I want to resize this to 10 inches wide because I know that this star is 10 inches. This is just going to be our guide because we are going to bring our gnome in the front of it so we know how big to make it. Now you can arrange this as big or as little as you want. I think this right here looks good for me. So now we can go ahead and hide that star because we don't need it. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to ungroup this. And to make this easier to cut, the black I don't need to worry about, that's going to cut on its own. But I'm going to come through here and I'm going to attach a few things. Not so much so that I can lay them down where they need to be, but so that I can save on moving my vinyl. So I'm going to come through and the white on the stars here, I'll leave those alone, but I'm going to ungroup those stars. And this right here, which is the stars on his shoes, I'm going to ungroup. So the stars on his shoes and his beard, I'm going to attach those. And his hands, let's bring that to the front so you can see. His hands and his nose I'm going to attach, but when I go to place them, I'm going to cut his nose from this area. But this is just so that it cuts together. So let's see what else we have here. His shoes I want to attach, so those cut together. What else? Let's see. I think that's about it. Let me see. I'll go to make this here. Okay, so that's all going to cut together. This will cut together. Those. Okay, this all looks good to me. So what I'm going to do, I am going to arrange my mat so that I can use just one mat. I'll probably use two mats, but so that I can cut down on the amount of times that I have to change my mats. So this up here, I know that my vinyl has to be white right up here. And then I'm going to go to here and I am going to click on my black and I'm going to move this down here. I'm going to click on this and move object and come up to the white. All right, now I know that this has to be white. This has to be black. All right, we'll go down to the next one. I'm going to move these over. The reason that I move them is when I go to change them and move the object to another mat, it will land exactly where this is at. So if I have it over here and I go to move it, it's going to land on top of what's already there. So holding this one, hit my shift button and I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to move object and then go back over here. And then I know that this is here. I might move that down or move it here. Either one, whatever's best for you, whatever size vinyl you have. Just remember that that's now red. This one I'm going to go over here. Move object. And my star. Move right about here. Okay. If you wanted to, you could put the blue pieces over here. I think I'm going to cut mine separate because honestly, I don't know how you store your vinyl, but my vinyl, the blue color that I'm going to use, is a roll. I've rolled it up, so it's harder for me to lay it flat. Whereas all these pieces of vinyl are flat. I've purchased 12 by 12 sheets, so they're flatter. So sometimes when you have a piece of vinyl that's rolled, in my opinion, it's easier to roll the vinyl down on your mat and then cut it. It's just, it makes my life easier to do it that way. But again, this is completely up to you, however you want to do it. But this right here is how I'm going to cut the first part. And we're going to hit continue. I am using a Explorer Air 2. So I have the option, I have set on custom. And when I cut adhesive vinyl, the setting that works best for me is wax paper. You can come over here to browse all materials. If you have not used this yet, this is where you can pick what you're going to cut. I like the wax paper setting. I type in wax paper, that's what's come up. And I have this bookmark. So I'm going to click on this and then I'm going to go to more. Okay, so I'm going to cut this first mat and then I'll come back and cut the second and we will get it all put together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my little star, and I want to take my string off here. And I am a very messy painter, so I'm going to put some gloves on. We're also going to use these to dot some circles on later. Okay, this is just a wicker white. Use whatever color white you like. Put my gloves on. Okay, while we wait for this to dry, we're going to go ahead and cut our vinyl. Okay, I have my cutting mat. And I like to, as I'm moving my elements around in Design Space, where I showed you like you would move your white here, your red here, your yellow, I like to put my vinyl on my mat as I move them. But I'm going to go ahead and do it here. Okay, I want to make sure on my screen that my vinyl is going to fit in the area that I need since I'm moving these around. So I need this to be white. On the back of the vinyl you have these little squares here, and I know that I need these to be down 2 and over 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, actually over 5. So I'm going to bring that down 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And cut this over. And I'll put that right there. And then my next one I need to be yellow. It's going to go here. And then I'm going to use my brayer to make sure that my vinyl is all adhered to my mat well. Okay. I have this on the custom setting. I'll go ahead and load our mat. And let it cut. when I take my vinyl off my mat, I like to leave it exactly where it's at, and then I like to put a little notch at the top so I know which way it goes. You want to roll your vinyl back as you take your, or roll your mat back as you pull your vinyl off. Okay, and then I will go through on the top of each one, so I know which way my vinyl is supposed to lay. Obviously the one that says America, I don't need to do that because I know how it's going to be, but I want to know which way my star is supposed to go. Shoes really isn't a big deal, but like I said, the star, I want to make sure I know which way it goes. And this one's pretty easy as well, but I'll just go ahead and cut that one. Now let's cut the blue. Okay, so like I was trying to explain in the tutorial, in the first part on Design Space, this vinyl is rolled. So what I like to do is I will, if I can get a piece that will fit on here. See how hard it is to get it on the mat? This is why I don't roll my vinyl. All my vinyl that I buy now, I buy in 12 by 12 sheets, so I don't have to worry about this. Unless I know I'm going to need something bigger, then obviously I'll purchase a bigger sheet. But this right here drives me insane. I can't stand not being able to get my vinyl down smooth. Okay, so instead of cutting this down to size, I'm going to leave it just how it is so it can cut this right here. But someone who likes to put as many pieces of vinyl on one mat, it does help when it lays flatter. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut our blue and keep going. And then we're going to go ahead and weed our vinyl. While the vinyl was cutting, I did go ahead and put a second coat of white on our star. And I'm going to cut this little star off right here. This is a self-healing mat, and I'm going to take this down to here and build everything on top of here. Now I'm just using painter's tape to help hold this down because, like I said, it's curled, so it doesn't want to lay flat. Now we're going to assemble. Stick another little piece of tape on here. I'm going to be using parchment paper, and I'm going to put the stars on the hat first. So I need a piece of transfer tape here. Okay. And put my transfer tape on top of my parchment paper and then line this up. And then put my transfer tape down, lift up, and bring my parchment paper out. Okay, don't push down too hard because this transfer tape is going to grab this blue part underneath. So when you go to pull it up, just go really slow. Make sure you're leaving this down because I don't want to pick up this, the body yet. I'm going to build everything and then put it on. So just go very slow when you're pulling this up. Don't pull back, you want to roll. It'll help give you more control over what you're doing. Okay, and if you get a little roll in there, I don't know if you can see that, you can go back underneath and help pull this up so that it lays flat again. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put his feet on. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I want to give a little bit of extra. Make sure this is big enough here. Oh, let's get another piece. Okay, your parchment paper, lay that down, and you're going to put, so there's extra transfer tape on the top, and then lay this down without the transfer tape being on top of the body yet. Line this up, and carefully pull out your parchment paper. And lay down your shoes. And again, you don't want to push too hard because that's going to peel up. So carefully roll it back. Okay. And I'm going to put on his beard. I always keep a picture of what I'm making on my phone in front of me or my computer screen so I can see it as I layer it to make sure that it is lined up the way that it's supposed to be with the picture. Okay, let's do his shoes, the stars for his shoes. And I'm going to cut his nose from his hands here. And I'm going to apply his nose separately. Now I'm going to do the stars. I'm going to lay the stars and then put the stars on. So let's do this blue one first. Okay, this is a picture of my screen. Like I said, I like to keep that close by so I know what it's supposed to look like. So this star doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, you can do whichever you like. Alright, put this back on here. Okay. Alright, and there's our little Americana guy. Now, we're going to go ahead and put it on the star. Okay, I used a hairdryer to get this dry because I have zero patience. There is a little bit of a rough spot on this, and we want this to be smooth so we can have our vinyl stick to this. So I'm just taking a little sanding block here, and I'm just going to knock off the edges to make sure that it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to wipe this off into the trash can. Alright, I brought my mat out here with the hopes that you guys can see this a little bit better. Alright, I sanded this down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put America on first. Okay, again, you want to roll it. Alright, and then I'm going to get another piece of transfer tape, and I'm going to put my entire gnome on there at the same time. So I'm going to pull this off of here. And I'm just going to eyeball this. Try and make sure he's in the center. My A doesn't want to stick. I probably should have waited a little more because, you know, I have no patience, but my letters want to come up. And I'm going to assume that's because my paint is not 100% dry. I would assume it probably would be best to let your paint dry on your wood for a good 24 hours. But like I said, I have no patience, so we're just going to roll with it here. Just be careful as you're pulling up your transfer tape. And push your stuff back down. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I don't want it all just plain white, so I'm going to put a little decorative edge around it. And what I'm going to do, I'm using this True Blue here. Get a little dish. I'm just going to put a little dot right here. I have my paper towel handy because I'm messy. And I'm going to try a couple different ways. One way I'm going to try is with a baby wipe to put it on. I'm just going to rip this so it's a little smaller. I've got just a little bit of paint on here. I'm going to go right around the edge. You can put it on as dark or as light as you like. And I'm also going to try with my finger here and then go back and wipe it off. If you get too much on it and you don't like it, you can always take white paint and go back over it again. You could do this in whatever color. If you decided you wanted to do it in red, you could do it in red. Alright, I like that. Like I said, you can keep adding more if you want. I am one of those crafters that doesn't know when to stop. I just keep on going. I add more and more and more, and then I think, oh, I shouldn't have put so much on. But I think this looks cute. Alright, now I'm going to put dots on it. And there are a couple different ways that you can do dots on here. I'm using, we have, this is Camden Yellow and Cardinal Red. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit in here. Don't need a whole lot. You can use the end of a pencil, you can use the end of a paintbrush, a toothpick, Q-tip, whatever you have laying around. I have some paintbrushes and I have some little, these are called dotting tools, but you can use, like I said, whatever you like, whatever size dots you want to do, and they're just random. It's whatever looks good to you, whichever way you want to put them on. And you just go through. Another thing you can do, if you have ever done the splatter effect where you take a toothbrush and you dip it in paint and then you splatter it on top, I thought about doing that first, but then I changed my mind and decided I want to do it this way. Wipe that off. And you can just go in and, like I said, do whatever makes you happy. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Let's try some bigger dots here. It's also going to depend how much paint you have on there. The more paint you have, the bigger your dot's going to be. Alright, what do you think? How's it looking? I think I like that the way it is. That's it. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hang. However, after this dries, you can put your string back on it that came with it, or you could put a ribbon in there. But that's it. What do you guys think? If you decide to make it, I would love to see it. Come on over to the Facebook group and show it off. You guys know I love seeing what you make. You can find this week's freebie in the freebie library. It is Design 160, the American Gnome. That's it for this week's project, guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. See you next time.